Amplified, a Groundwork Ohio podcast, elevating family voices for Ohio's young children. This podcast is led by Groundwork Ohio's Center for Family Voice, a center of excellence dedicated to authentically engaging Ohio parents and families in the policies and practices that impact the healthy development of their children. The center is focused on eliminating disparities in systems that serve pregnant women, young children, and their families, and drives programmatic, policy, and practice changes at local, regional, and state levels by integrating the family voice into the decision-making process of Ohio's family-serving systems.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Amplified. I'm your host, Lawrence Witherspoon, the director of the Center for Family Voice.
And I am Lissette Arnold, Groundwork's Community Engagement Associate.
And we are here today joined by Lori and Joe Jarvis. They are from Claremont County, Amelia, Ohio, and they are here with us today to share some insight in their experiences in the state of Ohio as it pertains to their children. Welcome today.
Thank you.
Welcome. It
Thank
is
you
so
for having
good.
us.
It is so awesome to have you all here. I feel like I see you all the time. We've done so much work together, and it's just really exciting to have you all here joining us to really share even more in depth about your experience and your family, and we just count it a pleasure to have you here to share that.
Oh, no,
it's
it's
a
our
pleasure.
pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to get started, and everyone that's watching will get an opportunity to really get to know who you are.
Right.
Get to know your family. So, Lizette, do you have anything?
No, I know that you guys were featured in our dashboard stories, and I'm just excited to hear more because the 5-minute video. I mean, you can't encompass someone's entire life in 5 minutes.
It was a wonderful experience to do that.
Yeah, it was really cool. Just to be able to expand that. When we talk about amplifying the family voice, I feel like we accomplished that, and we'll continue, of course, to accomplish that. But you all have been some of the catalysts or champions in this work that we've been doing. So it's exciting to have you here today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So our first question for you all today is just tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Okay. I was born and raised in Claremont County, small little town called Felicity. We have been married for almost 10 year,s and we have 4 little girls.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm a stay-at-home mom and a family advocate.
Yep. I grew up actually on the other side of town. I grew up on the west side of Cincinnati, more in city than rural like Lori. But I moved over when I met her, and haven't looked back since. I love the difference in the pace of it. I'm a maintenance technician at a metal fab shop down the road. It's actually an amazing little place to work. It's just above a mom and pop style.
Yeah.
So they're into a lot of big companies and corporations, and in Cincinnati like Duke Energy, things like that, P&G.
Cool.
But it's a job shop, so it gives me variety in my day. So it's where I kind of get a little bit of spice throughout my week that isn't amply provided by my family.
Yeah.
Having 4 daughters has been a huge blessing, but it's also been an adventure every day in every way possible.
Yeah.
So being able to come up here and be invited up here to really kind of spread how we do things and how we see things is hugely important for both of us, because we don't feel that a lot of on-the-ground people get this opportunity to really just, let people know how things are day to day. It's always just, like you said, a brief summary, a quick 5-minute spiel. So it's great to be able to actually communicate what we're going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, speaking of your 4 daughters, tell us a little bit about your family.
Okay. Well, like I said, we have 4 beautiful girls. The oldest, Chloe, she's 16. Just got her temps. She'll be graduating high school in about a 1.5 years. And hopefully heading off to college. I'm still going to determine which one she'll go to. And then we have Charlie, our 12-year-old. She's more or less our tomboy, free spirit, wonderful kid. And then we have Jocelyn. She's our little princess. And then our warrior, Delita. She's 4.
So with your warrior,
Yes.
just talk about some of the experiences medically
Okay.
that you've had, some of the challenges that you've had.
Well, with her pregnancy, it was very normal, no complications, anything like that. I actually delivered her 1 day shy of her due date. She was born normal. There really wasn't any complications. However, she did have a different blood type than me. She was called ABO incompatibility. That resolved itself within 24, 48 hours, and she was good. When she was about 3 months old, I started noticing that she was clenching her left side, arm was always tucked. She wasn't hitting her milestones. By her 6-month checkup, she still wasn't sitting. She wasn't rolling, anything like that. So I started investigating with her doctors to figure out what was going on. By 9 months, that's when we got in with Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and it was determined that she unfortunately had a stroke sometime during utero and paralyzed her entire left side. It's been very up and down and a whirlwind of doctors and a whole new lifestyle ever since.
Yeah, we were introduced to about 15 different doctors with our initial diagnosis, getting in with the cerebral palsy or CP clinic at Cincinnati Children's. An amazing program, and actually, as scary and daunting as it was to have that many professionals in one room at one time, it was so heartwarming because we were like, all right, we're not alone. We're going to get some care, some results, and that really just kind of started the really fast-paced part of the journey for us. Because after then, it really picked up with the services and the real kind of day-to-day intensive care with her. Because having the cerebral palsy, it's not so much of managing like a disease or symptoms. It really became a full lifestyle change for us.
It is alive.
Lori, incorporates it. Nowadays, now that we have a better handle on things, obviously, at the start it was a little rough, but we got it to a point where we incorporate, her therapies in just about everything we do throughout the day. Just like anybody else would incorporate, outside learning by going to museums and things like that with, our kids. We do the same thing, but we keep an eye on the, how is this impacting her body? Can we do this to allow to strengthen her too, train her too, instead of just expanding her horizons.
Between all of the therapies at home, she also has over 30 different doctors that we work on a consistent basis with.
Man, that's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot.
So when you first found out about all of her medical diagnoses, how did you feel?
Scared. Felt like failure as a mom, honestly. I thought I did something wrong, whether during the pregnancy or during birth. It turns out it didn't, thankfully. I had to take things one step at a time because I felt like I was being overran with all the information, with all the different doctors, trying to keep them straight, trying to figure out the appointments and how can I help her at home and things like that. We didn't know at that point what her future would look like. At that point, we were told she was probably never going to walk, that she wasn't going to talk, that she was basically going to be wheelchair or G-tube or so many complications that could become her future. And I refused to let that be the answer.
How hard was that to really navigate with all these challenges that you were faced with?
For me, it was really hard emotionally, trying to be strong for my child. Physically, it was very challenging to try to figure out which doctor's appointment to get her to. What was our first step? What was the steps after that? Thankfully, she has a caseworker who has been amazing at helping us navigate all of that. I'm a big advocate for that. It was amazing that she was helpful. You got to be willing to be flexible. You have to be willing to take in the unplanned, if you will. And you got to remember to make sure to look after yourself too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Was your health insurance enough to cover everything? Like, did you suffer any financially from this?
Well, yes and no. Insurance-wise, it was good. Unfortunately, we don't make enough to be able to provide insurance through our company or outside, so we do receive Medicaid. Thankfully, they have covered everything that our daughter needs. Yep. However, financially, it has been a setback because I'm unable to work due to the amount of appointments and help that she does need. So it's one of those, we do receive assistance to help, but we don't get a leg up, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
I explained it to my 8-year-old the other day a really good way because she said, we're poor. And I'm like, honey, we're not poor. Our bills are paid. We're happy. We're healthy. And we have a roof over our head. We're just broke. That's the difference.
We just don't have all those extra things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Right.
But we lucked out in that fact. The company I work for, with it being a little on the medium side as far as size of it, I was able to actually talk to the owners and the president of operations, and so they're able to allow me to transfer departments and play with my schedule. I actually piloted a program for the company, Flex Schedule, allow me to kind of take off in the middle of the day and then make up the time throughout the week in different aspects and things like that, which for a lot of places doesn't sound that big of a deal, but I'm in a manufacturing production company, so being there for the full shift is 100% expected. So for them to actually play with the schedule while creating a lot of headache for me with my coworkers has allowed me to have the flexibility to help Lori with taking her to the appointments. Because in addition to the 2 set appointments that our daughter goes to every week, there's always 3 other kids that we're taking to doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, things like that. And then Toledo will have additional appointments compared to her therapies, initial checkups, her, shots and things like that. So I really lucked out in the company that I'm with, and without a couple of the graces that we've had in that respect, making the whole thing work wouldn't have happened. So, the biggest thing for me is Lori had to kind of show and teach me a lot of more patience than I thought I would ever need as a parent.
Yeah.
And, actually, I found I had to turn myself into that person that, no, I know how I want to parent my kids. I'm going to be firm in my decisions. I want them to be this, this, and this, from being that hard rock about parenting to basically being a sponge, because I had to absorb and take in all these changes and just let them kind of just, become me, because that's the way our lifestyle was rolling. And, it was, like Lori said, extremely difficult to navigate in the beginning. But with those graces, we were able to kind of get the breath that we needed to kind of settle into it, make the changes. But we couldn't have done that without initially changing our mindset and how we looked at it. This is our life. This is the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
Not exactly the smallest pill to swallow, because, you have your own aspirations about how you want things to roll out, your daydreams, things like that. But, when it comes down to the reality of it, it's, when you decide to be a parent, that's your decision. And you got to make it work for your kids, because that's the whole point.
Right.
So you make the changes you need to.
Yeah.
You work that second job if you have to, or, you do without that luxury vacation or car. But in the end of it, as long as the kids are fed, they're happy, they're growing, they're learning, we consider our day a victory.
Yeah, that's great that you guys are not awarded, but you're given grace in a lot of situations, and especially with your job. And it's like, if only we could get that grace everywhere.
Right.
Because you lucked out with your company, but that's not the reality for a lot of people. They're like, you come to work 8 to 5, you get 30 minutes, and that's it. And it's like,
Well, that's why you do the advocating instance of it, because you hope you see the changes in general. But then once those happen, then you can start pinpointing on your job market, your employers, and things like that. And that's when you really start seeing the changes impact, the families, not in broad strokes, but in your day-to-day too.
Yeah. So I have a question for you all. I'm deviating from this a little bit. I know we had some set questions for you. Sure. But so with all of these things that you're doing and the time crunches and the lack of time to really do things for yourselves, when you all do have time, what do you all do for yourselves? What does your self-care look like? If I know it's like if any self-care, but what do you all do, just you two, just for fun, or just to kind of
do you guys get away from the kids?
Yeah.
Do you
Actually, for about 5 years, we never went on dates. Our dates consisted of putting the kids to bed early and sitting there watching a movie, fall asleep at home.
Hey, you have an awesome movie collection. So there was a lot of movies. I think I saw over 5,000 movies.
Oh, man.
Something like
that's
that.
That's how that was born, though.
Yeah.
But we do that. For me personally, my bathroom is like my sanctuary.
Yeah.
That is the one room I can lock, The kids don't come in. Once he gets home, it's like, okay, my emotional state needs to decompress. You get the kids for a couple of hours. I'm going to go back here and disappear for a little bit. I'll sit there and maybe watch stupid videos on my phone or play a game on it or something just to chill, to relax myself. Probably about 2 years ago, I actually had a mental break from everything that was going on. And I felt like the world was crashing onto me, and I have trying to hold not just the world, but my kids and everything up. And that's when I finally realized I have to take care of myself.
Right,
That's
right.
when I started implementing the self-care for myself. And he's been a wonderful part of that. And I'm very grateful at the fact that I have a husband who notices, like, okay, you're getting overwhelmed. Go.
Right,
I got the kids. Don't worry. Just go.
Yeah, if you're not okay, the kids aren't okay.
Exactly.
So you have to take care of you.
Right.
I had to unfortunately learn that one the hard way.
Yeah.
Trying to be super mom, and it broke me. So the last couple of years has been a lot better.
It has.
It's a learning process, and I'm still learning.
Yeah, but you've made some very, very big strides, especially in the last 6 months. But when we do get the time to be able to like kind of go out together, as far as like a relationship, self-care or something like that, we're eaters. We love to experience in it. Luckily right now, especially in Cincinnati, there's been a huge boom in like, artistry food, we'll call it. A lot of little restaurants popping up and things like that. So we kind of we like to take like little adventures, I guess you could say, and we'll kind of, try a new place and then kind of experience the community around, either drive or walk around, kind of see the sights and things like that. Nowadays everything changes so quickly, and one of our old school passions has always been like old architecture, and especially how they've been like redoing a lot of the buildings, especially in Cincinnati, and how amazing
downtown
they
Cincinnati.
look. Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of kind of exploring, which is great because that's one of the things we used to do when we first met and got together. So it's actually quite nice after everything that's happened that we're kind of getting a little bit back to the roots that kind of made us what we are. Luckily, also, my self-care, just on a personal, is a little bit quicker and a lot better. I'm more of a release-type self-care, so generally, even though I have a small 15-minute commute from home to work, I'll utilize that with very loud music to kind of like decompress for a second. I scream at my dashboard often. I give so much comic relief to the people sitting next to me. It's amazing.
The power of music.
Yes. I'm a huge believer in that.
Yeah.
So, doing that, and then I actually get a lot of fulfillment in taking care of my kids and my wife and things like that, a lot of personal fulfillment. So being able to come home and actually, kind of, what most people will call pick up the slack. I call it just my day. I'll come home. I'm happy to jump in and help my kids with their homework. I'm slowly teaching my girls how to cook and things like that. So, I always kind of help make them at this point, but some not. Make them help me with dinner. So, I don't get to see them as much as I like because of being working and running all the time. So I kind of combined my self-care with my parenting a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but I stay optimistic, so I try to find that enjoyment in just about everything I do.
I know for me, now that the weather's turning, my butt's going to be out there fishing.
That's my thing.
I love it.
I live 3 minutes from East Forest State Park. I will be over there every morning.
Yes, I love fishing. That is my coping skill.
Oh, is it?
That is my
Nice.
time away. I literally live 19 minutes away from Buckeye Lake.
Oh, really?
And so whenever I get that free time, I'm taking my fishing poles and I'm packing up and I'm taking a small little fishing trip.
We
because
should
I have,
take a fishing trip
we
together.
got to take a fishing
Oh,
trip.
man.
But I have 4 boys. My wife and I, we have 4 boys, and so just taking that time away to do that. My wife doesn't care for fishing as much, so that's kind of my self care,
thing, yeah.
my own thing, and then of course she does her own thing. Just making sure that she pampers herself when needed,
Right.
and so it is very important, as parents to really get that time because you gotta pour back into yourself, or you gotta have people pouring back into you so that you can pour back out to your children, and that's just so important to be able to have that. And I think a lot of parents, we because of how much we love our children, how much we care for our children, we dump in all of our time and resources into our children, and sometimes we can begin to get lost in who we are.
That's
And
where
be
it
doing
broke
that
me,
work.
is because I forgot who I was other than wife and mom.
Yeah.
at that point, I couldn't tell you who I was,
Yeah.
what my dreams or aspirations were anymore. I could tell you my kids,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
but not mine. And that's the thing I had to learn, the whole putting your face mask, the air mask on in the plane before you can do it for somebody else. I had to learn that. I was struggling. I was suffocating, if you will, because I wasn't putting my mask on.
Wow.
So we already touched on this a little bit, but can you talk about some of the things you do at home with your daughter that, you said that you were already,
Oh, yeah.
you already have these skills that she would be doing at a program. So what are the things that you do?
Well, over the years, with her going to this Perlman Center there at Cincinnati Children's, they've taught me different ways to incorporate physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech. And I already kind of explained a little bit to you, but I'll explain to everybody else. The song Witch Doctor, we sing that one constantly because that is a great speech formation for my daughter to get the muscle tone and everything in her voice that she needs. And then for PT, she's learning how to walk on uneven grounds and walk up and down steps. So we'll just go outside and we'll run up and down the steps a couple of times, or we'll kick the ball. Here recently, she just joined the soccer team. So that's part of her physical therapy now is we're kicking the ball.
That's awesome.
Since she is affected on her left side, I incorporate lefty has to do the kicking. She also does constraint therapy to where she wears, it's kind of like an oven mitt on her good arm, so her right arm. Left hand is the one that has to brush your teeth. Left hand is the one that has to pull her pants up or put her clothes on or whatever the task might be, are everyday tasks that everybody does. So I just incorporate it into all of that. For a child to brush their teeth, 5 minutes. But for her, it could take upwards to 20 to 30 minutes. So you just have to have that patience to incorporate that and let them have the time to practice those skills. And then we do a lot of sensory things, Play-Doh, sand. We make with the conditioner and the cornstarch. Yes. We do a lot of that kind of stuff. Singing, dancing. We try to make it as fun as we can so that way she enjoys it and actually wants to do it.
Right. I remember when I came out last year, some of the activities that you were doing outside with her, like kicking the ball, having her throw the ball with that hand and things of that nature. I got an opportunity to see that, and I was just like, man, that's cool. Like, mom is like putting in work to really, it was just phenomenal to see.
Actually, over the last month, I've been working with throwing a ball really good because she has her Special Olympics coming up here in the next couple of weeks, and throwing the ball is part of her area for the Olympics.
Aww.
So we've been practicing
When
that.
When is it?
I believe it's the 22nd. I'll have to look it up.
Yes, you have to send us some info.
Send us some videos or something. That would be really cool. Like that's awesome.
They do it here at our local high school.
Okay.
It's all different ages and grades, different abilities. It's a wonderful thing to come out and see, and to see the smiles on these kids' faces.
It's amazing. Yeah. And they do the whole fanfare too. So it's in the high school football stadium. The grandstands are all filled with all the parents and supporters. They'll do like a little Olympic walk for the introduction. So they do the whole shebang. It's really a great program.
I love seeing the pride on the kids' face. That is the best part of it all.
And see, that's one of the motivators we'll kind of use and kind of help with, keeping her motivated in it, and really kind of feeds back and helps us stay motivated in it as well. It's that extra involvement.
Yeah, and I bet she feel like, not that she feels challenged, but feeling like doing the exercises and stuff. Like, she probably doesn't even look at it as her doing therapy. Like, it's just fun.
Yeah.
And
Just play.
That's play and fun.
When you turn it into actual work, then she's just like, no, I don't want to do this at all.
Yeah.
Because it made me think about, because my brother, he's left-handed, and he played basketball for a majority of his life. And my mom, my uncle was a basketball coach, so he was like, you would be so useful on teams if you could do both. So he would do the thing with his left arm, and I was like, but he hated it. But I'm like, when you do something and it's like something that you're not, when you do something and it's not like it's a chore or that you're doing this for something, like she's gonna
look at it differently.
Yeah,
It's that association.
that motivation is different.
Yeah. So going back to just some of the other experiences, did you all ever have a problem with the quality of care that you received during these processes? Sometimes being on that waiting list and or filling out
Yes.
the information to get on the waiting list, that's
It's
you consider
hard
one
to
of the barriers?
navigate it.
Yeah, navigating it. Yeah.
It's confusing to navigate a lot of the services.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember too for you, it was daunting because it's the initial start into the program
Yeah.
with the referral. And I remember hearing her mention several different times, man, if I'm having this much, issues just getting into the program, I could imagine what it'd be once I'm in it and everything. So it's really hard to kind of want to stick with it. And she had to kind of fight through to make sure that she kept Alita in it and was able to get the benefits of the program.
Yeah.
I'm a fighter.
Because once you're in the program, it's a very good program.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, very good program.
right.
It's just
Very
getting through
good.
the barriers
Yeah.
of getting into that
Yes.
program.
Right.
Yeah, the
Actually,
program's
I think
phenomenal.
one of the best things about it was the in-home. They
Oh,
were
yeah.
able to come to the house because I know one of the things, as much as we like the Perlman Center at Children's, it's a little daunting to make the 45-minute drive.
Right.
Just
One
one
way.
way there.
Right.
So you got to think she has an hour and a half appointment. It's which is great, but then you got to add an hour and a half, 2 hours of drive time.
Right.
All of a sudden, that's your whole day.
That's your whole day.
So having those aspects of it, and then also their help in general as far as finding other resources and things have been amazing.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
I know as far as issues in her initial care, I know it was when we first started, it seemed that there was information for cerebral palsy, but there was a lot of physicians that just weren't informed fully. I know without her pediatrician having the curiosity that she did, then we probably wouldn't have gotten as far into it.
Yeah.
Because her pediatrician at the time didn't really know that much about CP, so she actually took the time, did the research, found out more about it, and kind of helped guide us in the right path. Unfortunately, she kind of moved out of state, so we have a new pediatrician, and we were hoping for about the same level of care, and unfortunately, that's not there. So we're actually kind of experiencing an old problem in a new way with a new pediatrician.
I'm teaching the pediatrician.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the reality is you've been the expert
Right.
in your
And
child's
you're the
care.
expert.
Yeah.
And you've been and you're advocating.
Yeah.
One thing I learned is I've been studying the medical field since I was 15 years old. I've always dreamed of being a doctor, so I've always studied it. And I knew it was hard taking care of a child with disabilities, but you don't realize just how hard it is until you are doing it yourself. Not just the physical, but the emotional aspect, the social part of it. And you start realizing how many people have that preview of what disability it looks like. So then when they look at your child, it's like, wait a minute, what disability do they have?
Yeah.
So we struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm
And
okay with teaching people.
Yeah.
There's different levels. There's different abilities.
Yeah, and being on a platform like this is super helpful. And then the Family Action Network. So when we recruited, we actually didn't have a criteria. We weren't you have to be this. The only requirement was you had to have a child that was 0 to 5, and we did that. And so we got people from different counties all over Ohio, and I think maybe at least 30% or 40% have children with disabilities, and we didn't know that. We didn't know that until we started hearing from everyone, and we're like, oh, so we could call many of our families, and they all are struggling with something, and it's I didn't know that. Well, I don't have kids, so I never looked into it, but it's I was shocked to know, and I'm it's the education in that, the education isn't out there, and the
It's not.
social awareness isn't out there where
I am learning that there's a lot more for autism or mental health, which is wonderful.
Wonderful.
But we need to get the word out for the physical too, because there's so much to it. There's so much different levels and abilities, and our kids are just like any other kid.
So, what hopes do you have for your children in the future?
My biggest hope is that they're happy and healthy. That's number one. I'm just, honestly, I want to raise strong, independent, amazing women for all levels. And I know each of them will get there. My oldest specifically, she's got her heart set on Ivy League.
Yeah.
And I know she can get there if she works hard enough. And I'm going to help her get there one way or another. For Delita specifically, hers looks a little different. I'll just be happy if she's happy. I want her to live the best life she can, and I'll do whatever it takes to make sure she gets there.
For me, I want my kids to. It's kind of hard because it's kind of like a half and a half. I want them to be a productive member of society, and I want them to find their place. So, and by that, I mean, I want them to have all the things that they see that they want. If they want a house, I want them to have it. If they want to live in a van and drive across the country, I want them to have that ability. I want them to get where they want to be. But also, each one of my girls is so unique in their own way, and that's my biggest hope. Because right now, in their teen years, they're still kind of figuring out. So they're very, very weird. I love them to death, but they're very, very weird. And that's my biggest, fear and hope. Is like, I hope it either amps up or calms down, one way or the other, so that you can find whatever niche group that you want to be in and be in it. But, it's one of those things that, the way that society looks and is going and everything's so personalized and individualized, which is great. It's just that I hope that also promotes inclusion to a point to where my girls in their four separate weird ways can still be a part of a group, be a part of a community, have that camaraderie, and have that genuine human experience.
Yeah.
And, with Delita, it's bringing in more sharp relief how fragile that hope really is.
Right.
Because just looking at her and interacting with her peers now, it's like, okay, well, this is probably the most accepting as a human you'll be, is with your toddler friends at 3 and 4 years old, because at this point, they just care if you're going to play with them or not. That's all you got to do is kind of be there and make a sound every once in a while, and a toddler's happy.
Right.
And, we already see small things that kind of allow her to be excluded within the situation. So that's one of my biggest hopes, is that, we can be able to navigate their lives and are educating them with the resources we have available to allow them to see and identify what they prefer, what they like, and then go get it.
Yeah.
So it's and like I said, it seems like a daunting task, but as a parent, you just keep pegging away at it.
Being a parent is one of the most rewarding and yet hardest jobs ever been in the world.
I agree with that.
Yes. That is probably like one of the best answers I've gotten. Like, as far as like I didn't even have an answer. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we put some thought into this.
Yeah.
But I can tell just the amount of time we've spent with you all, the thought that you all put into this advocacy work, your children and advocating for your children. So leading into this question, so you all were with us in the beginning of the Center for Family Voice Development, the Family Action Network. You all have participated in that big event, which is almost a year anniversary to that in May. You've also participated in the Vote for Ohio Kids. You've also been a part of the Advocacy Day,
the dashboard.
Yes,
even
the dashboard.
testified for us last.
Yeah, and then you did testimony. What has those experiences been for you all? Because you guys have done quite a bit in less than 365 days.
Yes, and I really want you to touch on the testimony, because that was like one of the big, like, that's what we've been preparing for this whole year. Is we wanted that to happen. So talk about that, please.
Feel about all of this.
Me and him actually joke, because if you would have came to me 20 years ago and asked, 5 years ago, asked me, would you ever do anything that has to do with politics? I would have laughed at you and said, no way. No way. And then I came across you guys, and it gave me a voice finally to stand up, not just for my kids, but everybody's kids. And I just want all kids to be happy and healthy and have that bright, wonderful future. And I know so many children out there are suffering, whether it's family life or situations or finances or whatever the thing is. And I want to make their lives better. And being a part of this program, the Center for Family Voice and all of that, it's given me a new purpose. That is the best way to describe it. I see things in so much different light now, thanks to you guys. And I finally feel like the good way to put it is that my kids don't have to speak for themselves. They have me. And I will continue to speak for them. You guys gave me the strength to be able to do that and the knowledge to be able to do that. And I could never thank you guys enough for that.
Absolutely. Hey, you're the big voice for little kids.
Yes.
You're the big voice for little kids. It's awesome.
And I will continue to be a big voice for them. And if I
Yeah.
have to, like I told you, I'll be louder.
Yeah.
They deserve it. They need it.
For me, it's been surreal. Like, because you get taught about the political system, you get taught about the avenues and things, how you're done, but it's always abstract, even when you talk about it in conversation. But you guys made it a tangible, real path. Hey, we're going to put you near politicians. We're going to put you near the people that make your lives run the way they do. And it was like, before the Family Action Network, I realized I had a voice, but I had no way to really use it. And I didn't know the avenues to approach. I didn't know who or how to approach anything. And just reminded me that I had that power the way that you guys do, and to prompting us to tell our story the way that it happened, and really personalizing the experience in voicing their concerns. Like, I didn't even think you guys could do that, and you pulled it off amazingly. And it's really just been an inspiration, and really kind of made me and Lori, especially with the testimony here recently, want to stand up and do things like that and be more proactive in it. So as much as you guys may think that we're helping you and helping everybody else, you guys have done just as much, if not more, for us and motivating us to be more outspoken when it needs to be for the right reasons, not just out of frustration because we're tired of seeing the same thing over and over, the same injustices or whatnot, but really just kind of be like, hey, we're here too. This is what we got going on, and you make that decision, and this is how it'll impact me. And believe it or not, all my neighbors are just like me. So, it's really great to understand that I do have that voice, and this is how I can use it. And the fact that I'm using it for my children, for my passion project, which is everybody's children or should be, is just, like I said, it's mind-blowing. And I didn't know I had this type of avenue available to me. And I just really, from the bottom of my heart, and I know my wife shares the same sentiment, we thank you for the opportunity and for giving us the chance.
Absolutely.
You gave me a new avenue with the testimony part, because I never realized that we could do that.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking into doing it more
Yes.
on my own outside of groundwork. And
Y'all don't understand. We've never even we've never testified or done anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we've been working here for a year. I mean, it's not that we can't. We just haven't. We've just, all of our work is to invest into family. So
make
other
sure that
people
you
at
are.
Groundwork
Yeah.
has testified, and we testify a lot. So we just haven't done it personally, but we probably will one day
And
if it's
yeah.
It was
if
a
family voice
rewarding
comes.
When it becomes
situation.
necessary for
It
us to.
was.
But what's cool is that when we talk about amplifying the family voice, and we're talking about you all getting an opportunity to sit at the table and talk to those who make these decisions, and we constantly talk about making that happen, and for us to be able to contribute to making that happen, and you all being able to do it is just like it's just so phenomenal. Yeah.
It feels like it's enough for me, if like seeing it happen, because it's like I don't have kids, I can't speak to what's going on, so like having you guys do it, it means that much to me.
I know going in front of the committee and doing the testimony and everything, it was like a weight getting lifted off, if you will, because I've always had this theory, oh, well, they're higher up. They're, sitting up on their ledges. They don't understand what our lives are like. It was nice to actually get them to hear what our lives are truly like, because I don't think a lot of them experience some of the things that we do. They have better resources than us.
It's good. They have to hear it, and it would be different if it's just different if like we go up there and we say quotes that you said, or we do anything like that. But it hits harder when it's from the source directly, and it's from the person who's going through it. They can't say like, oh, they just pulled a quote from somewhere or something. Like, no, like this is coming from the person who wrote this, who's suffering, who needs this help. They're telling you to your face.
It was the first time I felt like I was on their level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what we want.
That's awesome.
So, you want to wrap up, or you want?
Yeah. So, Describer World where supporting families and children with medical needs is a priority for policymakers?
First of all, it should be, because even though our children have disabilities, they're still humans, they're still Americans, and they are still our future. Whether people want them to be or not, they are our future, and we need to invest in them, because if we don't invest in them, then our future is dark. It needs to be bright, and our policymakers need to understand that it starts with the families, not just the children, but it starts with the families. Like, we could not do what we do without some of the resources we have. And our children's future would be very different than what it's projected to be right now if we didn't have some of those services. Food stamps, medical, especially the medical. Without that, there's no way. We have 2 children with mental health issues, and then we have one with physical issues. Without that medical, none of them would get the help they need. And their futures, unfortunately, would be a lot worse off than what it could be.
I can't say on the mechanics of how a world will work. I just know that if it was a priority comparatively to how things are a priority today, I believe that we would see a far greater reach in just human compassion, human understanding, and honestly, I think we'd wind up going back into more of a communal type of society. Right now, we're very focused on, individual voice and individual power and individual feelings, and that's amazing. Every individual should be heard and respected to a certain extent, but it's so bright right now. It's really overshadowing some of the things that were core values in our past that allowed us to get to this free point, this enlightened point. And while we need to still, keep reaching for the stars and that great equilibrium of humanity, I think that we're losing some of the fundamentals along the way. And if we looked at especially child and medical aspects as a priority, then we have to look back at what Lori said, the family aspect of it, because children ain't children without a family. They can be children and families can be families without children. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that as a unit. If we look at that as a little bit more of the cornerstone as a way it was before instead of the individual, then I think we'll start seeing a lot more of those niceties that we are missing in our day-to-day lives.
Build the families up, then you build the children up.
Absolutely.
And the children's our future, and when you have a great foundation like that, that's when you really do build actual futures that really can impact everything, because that's where we're headed.
I absolutely agree with you. You couldn't have said it
Any
better
better
than what you said it, and I don't think I could have said it any better. So
Nothing to add.
That's awesome.
I always look at
appreciate
it like
insight.
we're a pyramid. Us parents are the bottom. You cannot build a pyramid without that bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to build that
foundation.
bottom up first.
Yep, absolutely.
Well.
I don't have any more questions for you all. I appreciate you all
Yes.
really just giving us insight, giving us some perspective on just your experience overall, some of the barriers, and then some of the successes, some of those things that you've accomplished. And so once again, we thank you for joining us this afternoon for an opportunity to just kind of share with those of our audience who are watching and really following the work that we're doing at Groundwork and the Center for Family Voice. I just really appreciate it.
I'm just happy that other people are going to know they're not alone.
Yes.
It might be daunting at first, but I promise it gets better.
Yeah. Lizette, do you have any more questions for him or anything?
No, I'm good. I think you guys just exceeded my expectations of content. Goodness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
absolutely.
us.
And
It was
so,
amazing being here.
thank you for making the trip. Thank you. And for those of you who are watching, thank you for watching Amplified, a Groundwork podcast. We appreciate you watching and just joining us. And my name is Lawrence Witherspoon, and I am the director of the Center for Family Voice.
And I'm Lisette Arnold, the Community Engagement Associate. And you guys have a nice rest of your day.
Yes, thank you for watching Amplified.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to the Amplified podcast on the Groundwork Ohio YouTube channel. If you wish to engage with Groundwork Ohio to amplify your voice and support policies to improve the lives of Ohio's youngest children, please visit groundworkohio.org.